You're listening to A Radio.
Thank you for joining us. You're listening to A Radio, and this is The Morning Moment. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. You can find us on most social media platforms such as iTunes, Spotify and iHeartRadio. Go to our website, aradio.wordpress.com, for details, where you'll find more content and details on our podcasts and more. I've entitled this, Trudeau Won't Stop March to Our Economic Oblivion. Now, I made a sort of promise just a few weeks ago that under normal conditions I would be continuing on my podcasts, but I didn't feel that it was a normal time. I think many Canadians feel the same way. But what is said here in a clip I'm going to play for you is reckless to our economy. So I have to say something, and that's what I do here. I make comments. Now, the reason I use the word comments will be clear in weeks and months to come, I hope, but that's key to our survival in Canada. The word comments. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen, comments. Anyway, but in these times, the likes of which no one in their right mind could ever have comprehended, to carry on in the way that Trudeau is now carrying on is nothing less than economic suicide. For Trudeau to carry on with his crazy lunacy of carbon tax on an economy in normal times is, quite frankly, bad enough. And any politician at all that supports carbon tax should be thrown out of office for the damage it will cause. And is causing already. Look at Alberta. I'm not trying to dismiss Alberta, I'm trying to use it as an example. Something that perhaps we could withstand and hold on for a saviour at the next election. But to force on Canadians more carbon taxes on an economy that has, for all intents and purposes, ceased to operate under the norms that we all understand in a free market and a free market economy is absolute lunacy. It's crazy. I just do not, for the life of me, understand why we are carrying on economically with business as usual, because it's not, and it won't be for some considerable time. We have already exposed the insane concept of globalism, which is Trudeau's mantra. But Trudeau has stooped to such a low that we have to fight this with every ounce of our bodies. We must obstruct, delay, critique, block, protest with every ounce we have. We cannot allow this suicide to take us all down with him and his insane bunch of liberal communists. I'm sorry to break my promise of not being bipartisan, but I'd really so desperately wanted to keep that, to be non-critical. But how can anybody stand by and make these comments and no one criticise them? Finally, the media are standing up. Only small pockets here and there are standing up and saying, what the heck are you talking about? Carbon tax? When people are dying? Carbon tax? When you've given away 16 tons of medical supplies at such a critical time in this country's history? Carbon tax? When the economy has stopped? Is that your most important thing? Carbon tax? Carbon tax, Mr. Trudeau. You need to get out of the way and let the sensible folk run this country. The people who have brains. The people who think beyond party politics. This is a time for all Canadians, not the Liberal Communist Party of Canada to run Canada or to introduce more crazy Agenda 2030 aspects to our lives. Canadians never voted for Agenda 2030 and they never voted for carbon tax. I wonder how many Liberal communists in Toronto will be waking up wondering why Mr. Trudeau is concentrating on carbon tax when there aren't enough hospital beds, when there aren't enough ventilators, when there aren't enough protective gowns, masks, whatever you want to call it. There aren't enough. Why? Because you didn't plan. You kept the airlines running. You kept the airports open. Why, Mr. Trudeau? Why did you keep the airports open? And why are they still open? People who are abroad should stay abroad. I don't care what nationality they are. They chose to go abroad. They had plenty of time to get back. It's time to protect the people at home. Job 1. Protect us in Canada. Those who chose to be outside of Canada is their problem. That is your job. Not to introduce more taxes come April 1. What is wrong with the politicians in this country who keep supporting a communist, a Prime Minister who is hell-bent on destroying our economy? President Trump is trying to restart his economy in a safe manner. This guy is trying to destroy his economy. Why are we allowing him to remain in office? We must remove him for the safety of our country. He's got to go. Ask yourself this question. It's a very, very simple question. And then I'm going to play you this clip. And I want you to play this clip over and over again and think about the consequences of this comment. Is it more important to have safety in Canada, to have masks in Canada, etc., etc.? Or is it more important to have carbon tax? Which is going to save your life? Carbon tax or having masks? Carbon tax or ventilators? Which is more important? It's not an both choice, it's an either or. You can't have both, not in our economic climate. And a final question to you all. Why is it that people disobey a simple request to stay in their home? Why do they think it's acceptable to travel around? It's the young people that are going to kill the old people, and it's up to the powers that be to protect us and arrest these people. And if there are parents involved, arrest them too, because they're just as responsible. This is not a game. This is life and death. And all Trudeau can think about is a carbon tax. April 1st. What the heck have we got in this country? Who is running our country? I will answer that question. Who is running our country is a Soros puppet for the UN who considers it more important to introduce and implement carbon tax and Agenda 2030 than save your life. That's the stark reality that we face today. And he will take actions to shut people like me down for telling the truth. Because when you start up again and you start trading, you won't be able to trade because your taxes will be too high. You'll be priced out of the market because of the carbon tax. You'll be scrambling to pay your bills, to find food and survival, while he's introduced carbon tax. And you're trying to keep your house clean and safe and your environment clean and safe. He considers it's more important to implement carbon tax. A fake tax. A fake tax. I cannot emphasize that enough. A fake tax. These people have to be removed. We have to have a general election, and Canada has to wake up.
Right, Mullen, Global News. Agriculture groups and others are urging your government to drop the plan to increase the carbon tax as of April 1st. Is that something you're considering?
We know that it is important that we put more money in the pockets of Canadians at this point when they're stressed. Our plan on pricing pollution puts more money up front into people's pockets than they would pay with the new price on pollution. We're going to continue to focus on putting more money in people's pockets to support them right across the country. We know that this is an important measure for the future, and we're going to continue to ensure that we are thinking about the future while at the same time we ensure that people can afford to make it through this crisis in the best possible way.
So yes or no on carbon tax? Will it go up next week?
We continue to make sure that people have more money in their pockets because that is how we designed the price on pollution.
Merci, c'est ce qu'il m'a fait à la conférence de presse d'aujourd'hui.
Merci tout le monde.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to address Canadians at 1 p.m. Eastern Time today. He will make an announcement about Canada's airports. Joining me now with details, CTV's Michelle Boyer.
That's right. We've learned that the Prime Minister is going to announce that some, and I do want to emphasize the word some, international flights will be redirected to 4 major hubs in this country. We're talking about the airports in Vancouver, in Calgary, Toronto, and Montreal. This is happening because these large airports have the capacity to properly screen international travelers for COVID-19. A lot of question marks, though, still remain about why not all international flights and also how this screening is going to move forward. There's been a lot of talk about people arriving from overseas and a little bit of confusion, maybe the messaging not getting out quickly enough. But now when you go through customs and you do answer questions on the terminal, the customs terminal that you walk up to, scan your passport, your iris scan, for example, there are new questions that are asking if you have a cough, if you have a fever, if you have difficulty breathing, and also asking you to acknowledge that since you are coming in from overseas, from outside of Canada, that you are isolating yourself, self-isolating yourself for 14 days. We did hear from the Prime Minister yesterday. I want you to take a look at what he had to say.
We are considering everything. There is nothing we have taken off the table. We're in close discussion with public health experts to look at what is the best way to keep Canadians safe. And every step of the way we have and we will do the things necessary to keep Canadians safe.